What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackToTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about Twisters. We're going to talk about a movie about those things that actually do destroy homes. You know, there's never a film called Hurricanes or Hurricanes. There isn't like a larger scale version of this because too many people's lives have been destroyed by one, so it's not like entertainment. I don't know why like Twister is like still a thing. Like it was fun once and now we were like years later we're like, what if we did Twisters? But it had no connection to the first film. Let's see what happens. It's directed by Lee Isaac Chung. It stars Daisy Edgar-Jones, Glen Powell, Anthony Ramos. Downstream, we've also got like Kiernan Shipka is in here, Katie O'Brien, Sasha Lane. It's got a bunch of people in it. Actually, it is in that regard, it is very much like the original Twister, which when you go back and look at it, and you're like, well, that was Bill Paxton, Helen Hunt. Maybe you remember Carrie Elways. It was those three people, right? That was their. And then you look at the people who are riding around in the van, and you're like, oh my God, is that Philip Seymour Hoffman? Just so somebody in this movie is destined to be Philip Seymour Hoffman and go on to have a huge career later on down the line from this. Probably Daryl McCormick, actually. He's in this too, and he was really good in Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. So I think we're going to see more from him. Yeah, like I said, there's a bunch of people in this. So it's not connected. I thought maybe in like some way, but there are like wink, wink, nudge, nudges. Like there's a device that's called Dorothy. I kept wanting Helen Hunt. There's a scene where, you know, they call, like Daisy Edgar-Jones has a mom. It's not Helen Hunt. I really wanted it to be. It's sadly not Helen Hunt. I was like, man, this would be great if it turned out, because that's why she named her thing Dorothy. That's why she knows so much about Twisters. Because her mom is, nope, her mom is not. It's Maura Tierney. It's not Ellen Hunt. So they couldn't even do that. Like they couldn't find a way of, but they want to have that connection by saying Dorothy, right? So they want to be like, well, we know there was a movie called Twister. Anyway, so Daisy plays a young girl, Kate, who is, I'm going to jump ahead and not ruin the first 10 minutes of the movie for you, who gets a call from an old friend played by Anthony Ramos. Basically, she studied, she's really into tornadoes. Like she had an idea about releasing water, releasing these things to absorb the water in the air. And that was an experiment of hers back in the day. And now today, Anthony Ramos is like, whoa, I'm out here. I've got funding. We're working with some guys and we really love for you to come out. And so she goes and joins, and sort of side by side with them is a YouTuber, a content creator. You know, those guys are all assholes. Who is out there streaming his tornado wrangling, as he calls it, played by Glen Powell, in a very likable role for him. He basically gets to do his Glen Powell thing. For somebody who they're trying to really make an A-list star, I thought this role for him really just sort of helped to embody the essence of Glen Powell in a way that some of his other roles have also sort of hinted toward. So if we're ever going to get a new A-lister anymore, we don't really have star-powered movies anymore. But if that's what they're going to try to do for Glen Powell, this movie really highlights why you would go watch a Glen Powell movie. And the two of them, of course, they bicker and they fight and they have different approaches to things. And, you know, she holds up like a little dandelion and uses it to like, and he's like, oh, we're dressed in dandelions now, you know. So he thinks her way of like tornado whispering is stupid, but he runs into tornadoes and shoots fireworks at them and then puts it on YouTube. So, and he has people who show up and they sit on the sideline and like watching, and I'm like, these people are really stupid. I was like, there's gonna be a scene where all of them get sucked up into the hurricane. Like, what happened to his followers? Well, they died. So they're like on the side of the road just like watching. um but everybody's well funded. There's like a girl that operates a drone to help get him more footage. So it's kind of like Twister, but like for 2024. Like obviously things have changed. It's a different time period. We're 28 years from the original Twister. And there's some cool sequences here too. You know, they have a movie theater sequence that, sort of harkens back to a drive-through sequence. There was an actual story. I remember, I swear back in the day, like an actual drive-through was hit while playing Twister. Sort of a very meta thing. I don't know if it was the drive-through scene in Twister, but I think they were playing the movie Twister at the time. So I don't know what movie they're playing in this one. I don't think it was actually said on screen at the time, but it still sounded like a cool sequence. I mean, I'm thinking about this movie for like awards purposes. I like kind of like the sound design in it a little bit. What I really like is the music. Unfortunately, I have a feeling, man, if one of these songs was original, I would say push that song, because Lee Isaac Chung went into like the heart of, America and found some really great sort of Americana, country, bluegrassy type songs to sort of fill out the movie. So it doesn't have a traditional score, but it has this sort of like Americana vibe to it. And when you're shooting across the Midwest, yeah, that totally worked. So that was a great choice from him. This is the director of Minari. So he kind of understands this area of the country. And I think that was probably one of the best choices he made in the movie. And I think Daisy Edgar-Jones is a good actress. I think she's kind of wasted here. You needed somebody who could pull out against Glen Powell and who had sort of the same fire and charisma about her. And she kind of just it just doesn't come across like I know she's supposed to always sort of be the smart one or whatever, and he's the wild YouTuber or whatever, but just kind of came across that she was low energy in some scenes. Just, she's almost too laid back. She almost lacks too much charisma. I don't think she's bad acting. I just think the odd pairing of the two of them. She's a good actress, but she keeps landing in roles that just aren't working for her. She needs to be cast better in things. And I think she's British, and I don't think I've seen her do anything British since that miniseries she did on Hulu with Paul Mescal. So I would love to see her do more stuff. Just give her better roles, I mean, this is a great movie for Glen Powell. I don't know what it's doing for Daisy Edgar-Jones. Is she going to turn into, a massive movie star out of this? I don't think so. I don't think this movie does that for her. So, it's not perfect. It's not hit or miss. I definitely still prefer the original film. This film has some cool ideas about it. As far as like, would it get nominated for anything? I don't think so. I mean, it has a couple of destruction sequences, but when you're essentially a sequel, like you've got that been there, done that thing going for you, it's really hard unless you really truly do something different that's never been done before. Like Avatar, The Way of Water, with all of the water sequences, he didn't just phone it in and do more Avatar. He found like another level, another layer to Avatar, to sort of add this, yeah, you like the first one, but did you see what I did in the second one? And Dune 2 kind of does that too. Dune 2 had, its own thing. And then they were like, by the way, sandworms, so you find a way to make it different and find a way to blow it up more, and that's how you get the visual effects nomination. I'd be surprised if this got in, but I did love the soundtrack though, and I like Glen Powell in this, and the supporting cast is fine. Daisy Edgar-Jones is fine. She's supposed to be the lead, and it feels like Glen Powell, when he comes on screen, steals the film, and it shouldn't. It's supposed to be her film. She is the lead of the film. So, will this suffice for people who liked the original Twister? Probably. I mean, if you've been wanting a sequel to Twister for 28 years, you could do worse, but you could also do better. And I don't think it would have hurt them to make that connection. I don't know why we chose to completely make a standalone movie with no connection at all to the first movie. I think the film would have worked if she was still trying to pursue the dream left behind, that her mother was unable to do, or something like that. So I think everything would have worked if they had done that. You know, even if they hinted at the fact that her mother was Helen Hunt, and that's why she was doing all this, and like Maura Tierney is her aunt that raised her because Helen Hunt died in chasing tornadoes or something. I don't know, but the fact that this film just totally avoids connection at all, but then also has one of the devices they throw up in the air is called Dorothy. It's like, you can't have it both ways. You know, are you a remake? Are you a requel? Are you a sequel? What are you? Like, you know, trying to throw fans of the original bone by throwing in something like that is just like, feels lazy. Feels like you wanted your cake and eat it too, but that's not it. That's not enough to just be like, well, the device is called Dorothy. No, go away. Anyway, audio description, Jedediah Barton does a really nice job. He's been on a couple things this year where he's done a really nice job. I think I want to say he did Deadpool, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, Dune 2. I think he's been on a bunch of films that have had heavy visual effects, and this film captures as many of the disaster sequences as possible, and of course some of the non-disaster sequences where he just shoots fireworks into a tornado. I don't know, it's just, I look at these films and I go, I think the first film really captured the idea and the concept of disaster and danger of a tornado, and they seem to understand, even though they were storm chasers, that this is a deadly thing. This film seems to kind of play a little bit too lighthearted with something that does actually destroy towns. Like, I used to live in the Midwest, and we had tornado sirens and stuff like that, and people actually used to go into the basements and, you know, pray for the best. And I've seen buildings completely wiped out by tornadoes. So when a film has a character like Glen Powell who just it's entertaining, but it's at the same time, what are we doing? What are we trying to say here? And then Anthony Ramos's character is with this guy who goes around buying up property right after it's been destroyed by a tornado. It's like you're trying to say something, but at the same time, you don't understand the tone that you're setting by having a tornado wrangler, like a YouTuber who's famous for shooting fireworks into tornadoes. Anyway, like, ooh, look at the pretty destructive thing. It's cool because it's got fireworks in it, but it's going to destroy my house. This is going to be a great experience. Choices. I think everything just comes down to choices. So, does this film make all of the right ones? Not really. But you did take the director of Minari and throw him into a giant film and say, go. So, we do that a lot. We do that with a lot of directors. We take indie directors and we go, hey, that film that you made for $2-3 million, how about we give you $200-300 million and see what you can do. We don't even there's no mid film for them. Sometimes there's never can we give you 50 and see if you can make a $50 million movie? No, we're going to hand you, we're going to throw you a tentpole movie. We're going to put you in a tentpole movie. So I'm gonna give Twisters a B. It's not. It's never going to be something I'm going to wind up on a desert island. Glen Powell's entertaining. He probably shouldn't be as entertaining as he is, but he is. I like the cast. I think there's everybody here is doing a solid job acting. I just think Daisy Edgar-Jones is a little bit miscast, or downgrade Glen Powell. You know what I'm saying? Like if your preference is Daisy Edgar-Jones, find somebody who's at her speed. You know who would have been great for this, and who's worked with Lee Isaac Chung before? Stephen Yeun. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. He has a little bit. He still would have had an interesting energy for that role, and it wouldn't have completely diminished Daisy Edgar-Jones and what she's trying to do with hers. So maybe that. But anyway, Twisters. Check it out if you want to. It's on Peacock with audio description. So thank you for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you guys on the other side.